Red Solo cup, we fill you up. Let's frame the girlfriend. Let's frame the girlfriend. Welcome back. It's been a minute. We're back after a very long hiatus, and we're here to talk about what we haven't been able to talk with you about. So, welcome back. We are a true crime and wine couple. Glad to be back after a long hiatus. And we're going to do some updates, and we're going to talk about what's going on in crime today. So welcome back. We are so happy to be back with you. We've been under the weather. It was the end of the school year. It was just crazy. So we are back, and we're going to talk about some stuff today.
Sounds good.
Let me first preface this by saying that all opinions are our own. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Do your own research. Also, we're going to be discussing the Karen Reed trial, which is really off the rails, and we in no way do not support justice for who really killed John O'Keefe. If that turns out that the jury says it's Karen Reed, then that's who it is. But we are not making light of anything. However, I don't think anyone with any sense of logic can watch this investigation and not think that some stuff was botched.
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to talk about that later.
Or that it's just a basic clown show.
Or that it is correct. It's been uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just don't know how they're on the stand with a straight face, but we'll get back to that later.
Yeah, definitely.
So the first update was a story that I've been following for over a year, and my forensics class followed it too. Rachel Morin, they did catch her killer. She was missing almost a year. She's a mom of 5. She went jogging on a trail and she was killed tragically. They did catch her killer. Like I said, after a year. His name was Victor Martinez Hernandez. He is 23 years old and he is here illegally from El Salvador. So what a tragedy. Number one, he was not supposed to be here, not here legally. He had killed somebody over in El Salvador, and not for nothing, but she was a mother of 5. I mean, that's just a horrible tragedy.
Yeah, that's sad.
But they do have him, and what was really strange was they had video and they had DNA. They just couldn't find the dude. And then they finally did find him in Oklahoma. And they said family had been harboring him. I'm sure a lot more will come out as it unfolds.
Yeah.
Next, we have an update on LISK, the Long Island serial killer. The suspected Long Island serial killer is Rex Heuermann. He is 60, from Massapequa Park, Long Island. They have a lot of forensic evidence against him, and they just identified at the beginning of June 2 new victims, so I'm going to discuss who the victims were. First, they're the Gilgo 4, and they were discovered. Actually, there were 10 bodies discovered on Gilgo Beach. 4 of them are being linked to Rex Heuermann. They really haven't said what's going on with the other 6.
They haven't.
And it's interesting because one of the other 6 was a toddler. One is the mother of the toddler, which she's only identified as Peaches because she had a tattoo of Peaches on her torso. And there are other victims there as well. But 4 of the 10 are attributed to Rex Heuermann based on forensic evidence, particularly hair. They have hair evidence. So the first one was Maureen Brainerd Barnes, and she was missing since 2007. So as you can see, these go back quite some time. The second victim is Melissa Barthélemy, and she was missing since 2009. Both Maureen and Melissa went missing in the summer, which is very interesting because that's when it has been said that Rex Heuermann's wife and his children would go visit Iceland. His wife, Asa Ellerup, was born in Iceland. So those happened in the summer. The next victim was Megan Waterman. She went missing in 2010. If you watch the 48 Hours special on the Gilgo 4 and the Long Island serial killer, her daughters, and it's just heartbreaking. These women were sex workers. They were also mothers. They were also daughters. They were sisters. They were friends, and it's just very, very sad. And then the fourth victim that has been linked to Rex Heuermann from Gilgo Beach is Amber Costello, and she went missing in 2010. Now, she was killed at the beginning of September, so she is one that wasn't killed in the summer, or didn't go missing in the summer. And actually, her roommate helped catch Rex Heuermann, because the night she went missing, he said that Rex was calling, he thinks it was Rex was calling constantly, offered her 5 times her normal rate, and she got in the car with this guy with no phone and no purse, and the roommate said that she definitely did not do that. So another thing, all these girls were really tiny. He's huge.
Yeah,
he's
he's a big
6'4", and
Yeah.
I think it's safe to guess he's around 300, right?
Yes.
He's got to be. He's well over 250, I would say,
Yeah,
easily.
he's a big dude.
And Amber's roommate said she said she was 4'11". He said she was lucky she was 4'9". And that's interesting because, well, I'll go into that. So they're the Gilgo 4. Now, they just discovered in June two other victims that went missing from Manorville. And what's interesting is that Rex Heuermann belonged to a rod and gun club very close to where these bodies were found, and they went missing right about the same time that he was purported to be at the rod and gun club. They said he was not a very good marksman, but hunting was his passion. Sandra Castilla, and she went missing in November of 1993. So that's taken us back 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And also Jessica Taylor, who, that was a whole 10 years later. She went missing in July of 2003. So, with the discovery of these 2 new victims, they had gone back to Rex Heuermann's home, and they found really disturbing things, which I don't understand why they didn't find this the first time.
That's a little interesting.
Yeah, so they found a document that was referred to as a planning document, which had his plans for things like how to not get the body identified. So cut off the head, cut off the hands, cut off the feet, remove any tattoos, remove signs of torture. Like, there was some very disturbing stuff in this document, and this dude was a planner. He's an architect. They say he's brilliant. He was interviewed by some man, very interesting, who interviews, I guess, people that he thinks are either up and coming or well-established businessmen in the Manhattan area. And Rex Heuermann owns his own architectural firm in downtown Manhattan. And I guess what they said he's good at was I guess he knew all the old building code laws. I guess if you couldn't get a permit, Rex Heuermann was the guy to get you a permit. And also it came out that Donald Trump was a client, which makes perfect sense that,
Well, yeah.
I mean, if this
You
guy
want to
is
get around
right, if he's the main, if he's the dude in Manhattan that you go to. So anyway, so that came out. Then it got really crazy because during my last week of school, which was around the middle of June, Johnny Ray, who was a lawyer for a woman who went missing but wasn't the actual victim, is not linked to Heuermann. So he used to be that family's lawyer, right? And he held a press conference where he said that he basically implicated Rex Heuermann's daughter as being complicit in the murders. Okay, so it was just crazy. It was in the middle of nowhere, Florida. All right, so normally if you're going to have a press conference about LISK, it would be held in Long Island, correct?
Yeah, I didn't understand why he was...
Because that's where he lives. And he no longer represents the family. He doesn't represent the family anymore. So he holds his conference and he says that Rex Heuermann's daughter was complicit in the murders. One of these murders goes back 30 years. Rex Heuermann's daughter is 27 years old. He claims that she engaged in this, she engaged in cannibalism. He showed her art. Was it her Tumblr account? I think it might have been her
There
it
was
Tumblr?
no, there was an art like a specific website where you can put your art up and then sort of like get reviews and
Okay.
like have people comment
Oh,
on your
okay,
art.
gotcha.
And the one thing that she put up was actually her rendering of a scene or
Yes.
something from Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
It was identical, but this guy was like trying to make it out that this was her own disturbed artwork. I don't know where he was going with that because it just
She
there
wasn't
was no
even
reason
born
for it,
when
no.
one of these murders occurred.
No.
So, and then another thing, she identifies herself on social media as LISK's daughter.
which is kind of weird.
That was a little strange.
And the funny
but
thing is that one piece of artwork that she put up, she put it up the day after he was arrested.
right.
So she put it. So she identified herself as Lisk's daughter, and then she just went on a tirade of how it was bullshit that he got arrested and don't know what's going on. But that was like the day after he got arrested. So yeah, obviously she's gonna have issues.
Now, BTK's daughter has spoken out about this, and everybody is innocent until they're proven guilty.
Right.
The stepson of Rex Heuermann, who is Osa's son, it's Rex Heuermann's stepson. He has special needs. Their home's been destroyed. Their lives have been destroyed. His wife has cancer. Well, she's not his wife anymore because she filed for divorce.
Right.
She lost her insurance. He was the sole provider. The daughter worked for him. The son has special needs and can't work. Their home, which was already a
Destroyed,
trash
basically.
hole, has been trashed more. You know, I don't know why that had to happen. I don't know. It's
It was kind of out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
Like, what was the impetus for it?
and he no longer represents any of the victims'
Right.
families, so it was so ridiculous.
She's like, I just have to get my face on TV for 15 seconds and
I don't know. So anyway, that's what's going on there. There's got to be more victims.
well, I was going to bring that up. But I never saw it laid out the way you just laid it out in terms of the victims.
Right.
So like the Gilgo 4, those dates are all very close together,
Yes.
like within a couple
Yes,
years, right?
right.
So he was like in that hunting ground for those couple years.
Right.
But then when you look at the spread of victims from 1993 all the way to 2010,
In Manorville, right.
that's a huge timeline. So what was happening in between 1993 and 2010, you can only imagine. I can't imagine that there's not a lot more victims out there. Plus he has ties to South Carolina, he has ties to Nevada. So
Another thing I'm thinking is, I mean, he's right there close to Atlantic City, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
prostitution. And also, did you know that getting an escort in New York State is not illegal? It's legal to be an escort in New York State? I didn't know that.
no, I didn't know
But when
that.
I watched the 48 Hours episode,
Oh, yeah?
so escorting. I don't know about street prostitution, but being an escort is allowed in
No,
the
I
state
didn't
of
know
New
that.
York. I didn't know that either. So these women were, they were engaging in a legal job. And another whole problem with this thing, we're going to do a deep dive into LISK, was the initial investigator, they call him Dirty Burke. He was also caught he was the head of the investigation in the beginning, and he was caught with sex workers in his car. And he kicked the FBI off the case.
Well, yeah, he probably didn't want them investigating and finding out all his shady crap that he was doing.
But
So he held up the whole investigation for years.
if these murders are going back for 30 years ago when he was 30, I bet you he started earlier. His father, what they're saying is that the father died at 12, so I'm thinking that when he was 12, he was bullied. He had a lot of the precipitating events. And I don't normally assume someone is guilty, but there was so much hair evidence found on these victims that I don't know how you, and the way they were disposed of, the burlap, and it goes with the hunting. And in fact, when they conducted the initial profile of LISK, they said that he was a duck hunter, believe it or not. And then this burlap
amazing.
that they
That's
found
amazing how they
is
do that.
duck hunting, like it's specifically used for duck hunting, which I found really
Right.
interesting. It's crazy how they,
Yeah, it
they,
really
they
is.
find like their age, their race, where they live, it's crazy. So that's what's going on. So stay tuned for more of that. I don't know. I'm thinking this could be another
And
Ridgeway.
the other thing you said was interesting too, that since it went all the way back to '93, that was right there when Joel Rifkin
Yes,
was.
yes, we were. Should we tell the story?
Yeah, I gotta tell him.
Sadly, one of my students one of my former students, who's only in his early 20s, has adrenal cancer, and his name is Joel. He's Spanish. It's Joel. It's not Joel. So we got shirts as a fundraiser, and they say Team Joel on them. So I was wearing the shirt, and I was going to school for a field day, and you're like, why are you wearing the Team Joel Rifkin shirt?
Like,
Which was
dumbass.
I said, this is my student. I don't think I'd be going to school with Team Joel Rifkin. Yeah, so that's pretty much what you expect of me half the time. So anyway, we went and we said, wow, I wonder if he was operating at the same time as LISK. So we went and Googled it, and come to find out, LISK and Joel Rifkin were operating at the same time. There's the overlap of the 1993 victim.
Right.
Joel Rifkin is in prison for life now. And actually, he has a lot of insight into these things. He's actually, interviews with him are interesting if you want to, if you have extra time and want to watch something. So that's what we have on LISK so far. Like I said, we're going to do a deep dive, and stay tuned for more. I'm thinking this could be the scope of another Ridgeway, another Green River Killer. Another interesting thing that he did was right out of the Golden State Killers playbook. He was taunting the victims with the phones, which is another part. So he was using the victims' phones to call their family members and taunt them.
Which is
So
super creepy.
not even creepy. That's sadistic. That's showing that this man was a sadist, basically. I think he's the guy. I know he's innocent until proven guilty, but they've got a lot of forensic evidence.
They have a ton.
I mean, and it's not like, and they caught him surreptitiously with the pizza crust. It's not like a Kohberger where it's, it's familial, and it's,
Right.
there's a question. I mean, this was this dude's hair on those victims, which was interesting because in the planning doc he talks about not getting caught and not leaving DNA, but transfer DNA, if you understand anything about transfer DNA, if you do any experiments with transfer DNA, we did it in school, like if we just rubbed our backs together, stuff from my shirt would be on your shirt. It's amazing how DNA just transfers all over the place.
It doesn't
You can't
take
get away
much.
with stuff nowadays.
No.
So that's what's going on with LISK. We also have some upcoming trials that I'm going to be watching. There is the Boy in the Box trial. Now Tracy Ferreter, who is Tim Ferreter's wife, is going to go on trial for basically child abuse, where they kept their son, who was adopted, in a small room, which was basically a box with a bucket as his toilet. The dad was just convicted recently. He could have taken a 1-year plea bargain, but he decided to take his chances, and he got 5 years instead. So he got 5 years in prison. I don't understand why the wife is going to trial. It's kind of like the Crumbleys. They got the same darn thing. I think she should try to plead down, but she's going to trial. I don't understand why. You know what your husband got.
You're going to do the same thing.
And once again, and this is what keeps coming up in all these trials, there's an audio tape. We've got audio. You're done. Like, they have the evidence,
Right.
and we'll get more into that when we get into Sarah Boone. So, and also Christopher Greger, the treadmill abuse murder case. So they're the sentencings that I'll be watching that are coming up soon. This week, Wayne Williams will be sentenced. That trial was really interesting. He gave the name of Deadpool. His name is Junior, but he called himself Wayne Williams, and he wanted to be a human Joker. His face was covered in tattoos. he basically admitted to the murder. Sadly, he picked this woman up at a bar, took her back home. It was horrible, it was brutal. He had a swastika right underneath his eye. I mean, it was insane. The dude was huge, he was 6'4", he was massive. He shows up in like a purple suit. Yeah, so if you want to see something interesting but also horrible and disturbing, watch the, you can watch the sentencing too. He's going to get sentenced this week. I'm assuming it'll be, I'm thinking he's going to get the death penalty. It's a Florida case. It's Cape Coral, Florida.
What struck me about this case is that the defense attorneys didn't even put on a defense. Like, okay,
No.
we're not even gonna
I
bother.
think, and I think the main thing is try to keep the guy alive.
Yeah, but shouldn't you like at least try to put something out there to keep him alive?
He admitted to it. What are you
Yeah.
going to do? You know? Which that brings us to, oh, and also Christopher Greger, I think, is getting sentenced in early July. He's from Jersey Shore, the Jersey Shore, believe it or not. And he was another one where they had a video of his son who he abused on video and went to trial and was convicted. He did not get premeditated murder though. He got aggravated manslaughter. So he got the middle charge. His defense put up he had some guy out of Staten Island who was a real jerk, but I have to say the guy put on a good defense for him. I really think he did. It's just tragic, and now there'll be more to watch with that because the boy's mother, his name was Corey Michello, his mother will be suing DCP&P, which is the Children and Youth of the state of New Jersey.
Right.
And next we have, speaking of video, we have Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone just penned I'm sorry that I'm laughing about this. I am not making fun of this trial at all, but this woman is ridiculous. She just penned a 58-page handwritten manifesto to her judge. She is on her 8th lawyer.
I don't understand that. I just don't get
And
it.
her 8th lawyer wants out. Her 8th lawyer wants to get rid of her. So what Sarah Boone did was zipped her boyfriend up in a suitcase, filmed it, went and took a nap, and the guy she thought he could get out of the suitcase. He couldn't get out of the suitcase. He suffocated to death in the suitcase. And the whole thing is on audio. You can hear him saying, Sarah, let me out, and her just ignoring him. So they have, the tape is there. But she thinks that she's going to get this great defense. I guess what she's planning on doing is the battered woman. She plans on using the battered woman defense. So this guy abused her, she's a battered woman, and she did this as retaliation for being abused. Well, now it turns out that they can't get somebody to testify because nobody wants to touch this case. So I guess they've contacted a lot of people to testify about battered woman syndrome, and no one will touch it. So now she has her 8th lawyer, who I guess is a very good lawyer, but she's saying she's rude to her, she's mean to her, and what's happening is Sarah Boone doesn't want to hear that she basically is screwed because they have
Right.
the tape. So anyway, that's what's going on. I thought about doing maybe a dramatic reading of her 58-page manifesto, if that's something you'd be interested in. Leave us a
That'd be
comment and I'll think about doing that. Okay, next we got a lot going on. The Delphi murders. As usual, the judge and the prosecution, the judge and the defense cannot play nice with each other. They're still infighting. Now the defense is saying that they're planning on calling Judge Gull as a witness. So she must recuse herself from the case because she is a witness. It has to do with someone they were going to bring from prison to testify. It was a fellow inmate who was going to testify about Richard Allen's abuse. So the sheriff claims that the judge told him, don't bring the person to court to testify, and the judge claims the sheriff said he wasn't going to bring the person to testify. So now we've got, who's lying here?
Everybody.
I just think that this is not going to trial in October. I think it's never going to go to trial until Judge Gold recuses herself from the case. And I think the only trial that is going to go to trial after Delphi is probably going to be Brian Koberger, who I predict is going to live out his years at the Latah County Prison in Idaho and never go to trial. But that's just what I'm thinking based on all, And then a new Koberger book came out. That's going on, which I don't know how a Koberger book came out because we don't know what the heck happened.
No.
But that's, and that book is basically saying that he did not intend to kill the four. Madison Mogan was the target, and the others were basically collateral damage, which everybody's been saying all along. So it's nothing new,
Right.
So do with that what you will. Maybe that would be something you're interested in reading. I'm not going to read anything until after the trial, because we have no idea. Justin Timberlake was caught driving, accused of driving while intoxicated. He claims he had one martini, and I guess the martini had the equivalent of 4 shots in it. He refused the breathalyzer test, which I guess they say is what you should do. Any good defense lawyer on YouTube will tell you to refuse the breathalyzer. Yeah. So he refused it. So
I thought if you refused, you were automatically guilty.
No, I think you automatically get arrested if you refuse, but you don't have to take it. I don't know. This was I think it was he in the Hamptons?
Somewhere in New York, I'm not sure where.
Okay, yeah, the Hamptons. So we'll see what comes of that. His eyes looked awfully bloodshot, but I have to say, if I had a drink that had 4 shots in it, I would be 3 sheets to the wind.
Yes, you would.
If you're not much of a drinker. But then again, if I had Justin Timberlake's money, I don't think I'd be driving myself around after I had a martini. So
no, that's what I don't get with these celebrities.
Right.
You have so much freaking money, you probably have your own drivers, have them drive, but at the very least, call a freaking Uber. Go for it.
Okay, next we have Madeline Soto. My question is probably what everybody's question is following the case. When is Jennifer Soto getting arrested? Or when is Jennifer Soto going to tell us everything that happened and we're going to know what's up? Very sad case. This poor girl had been essayed since she was 8 years old. There's a 900-page discovery already. It's really sad. The poor girl, and the mother had roommates in the house. She was letting this 13-year-old girl sleep in the same bed as her on-again, off-again boyfriend. Super creepy. It's just horrible. It's deplorable. It's disgusting. Like I said, I really think the mother knew what was going on, or she was somehow complicit. I don't understand why they're not going after her. I'm not sure if she's going to be the one to solidify the case against him. I don't know. But all the evidence is there. This dude's guilty. Everything's on his phone. All the pictures of all the abuse.
But it seems like she's not being very helpful. If you're trying to save your ass, wouldn't you be as helpful as you could with the...
Well, yeah, but we don't know how helpful she's being because we only know, like, from the police body cam video when Madeline initially went missing. Now, they do have him on videotape, and they said that she was in the car and he was driving deceased, because I guess in the videotape, she slumped to the left in the car, and I guess you don't normally slump to the left when you're reclining if you're alive. You normally slump to the right. So that's how they're saying, that's what they're saying is the evidence of her being...
Never heard that before.
Yeah, so that's how they think. And I guess they have... So at their apartment complex, he dumped some of her belongings in the dumpster before he dumped the body. There was even a camera in the dumpster. So they've got a ton of evidence on this dude. So they have everything in his phone. And what they did was initially they locked him up and charged him with the SA on the phone. But now he's going to be charged with the murder as well. So they said something about, terrible stuff came out. Like her mother was going to disown her when she was 18. The counselor at work said she didn't, the counselor at school said she didn't like the guy. The friend said she was close to the guy. I think a lot of, there'll be a thorough investigation, it'll come out. And this dude has not appeared in court yet. He has been refusing to appear in court. Talk about a POS coward. But yeah, that's another one where, I'm sorry, I know you're innocent until proven guilty, but come on, there's so much evidence on him. Yeah, Anyway, if you're following that case, it's very disturbing. The documents and the documents and the discovery, don't go there if you're triggered. It's really bad. Another interesting thing that I saw on Court TV, there was a professor of forensics from a major university was talking about what he thought happened in this case, and he said I guess there are offenders, pedophiles, that only want a child in a certain age range. So when the child ages out, they basically kill the child right away. And that just sent chills down my spine, because if you think about, it was the day after her 13th birthday. She was developed. If we started when she was 8, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there's all this crazy stuff out there. They say the mother was operating a pedophile ring from the apartment. I don't understand how you have a 13-year-old daughter and you're renting out 2 rooms in your house and taking away her bedroom and making her sleep with your on-again, off-again boyfriend. Like, if that was my child's biological dad at 13, I wouldn't let them sleep in the same bed. No. It makes no sense. So there's that. Then, okay, before we get to Karen Reed, one more cool thing. In a Queens neighborhood, vigilante justice took over, and it was awesome.
Yes, it was.
So Christian Inga, he is also an illegal immigrant. He essayed a 13-year-old girl. So what he did was he abducted a 13-year-old couple that he saw walking, tied them together, and essayed the girl. So I guess they had pictures of this guy up all over the neighborhood, and people recognized him. So they went to the bodega and waited for him. Some people were there all day and half the night.
And one dude said he was there for 9 hours.
9 hours. The guy shows up, and they beat him down. They capture him. They tie his legs together, and they wait for the cops to get him, and then he's taken to the hospital. So don't mess with the people of Queens.
No.
That was sadly, when you watch all the crime we watched, I know that was kind of a feel-good story. I hate to say it, but it's horrible what happened.
It's horrible what happened, but I'm glad that...
And I think as the crime gets worse and worse, we're going to see this.
More and more people taking matters in their own hands, yeah.
And now we have what Pete can't wait to talk about, Karen Reed.
Karen Reed, my favorite trial now. So, if you're not familiar with the Karen Reed trial, this has been going on since April 16th. Karen Reed is being tried for supposedly killing her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, by accidentally or intentionally hitting him as she dropped him off at a house after they were out partying all night. And they say that she hit him with her car, left him in the lawn to die. So that's why she was arrested. But if you've been following this case even a little bit, I don't know how they are or why even that this was brought to trial. Like I said, this has been going on since April 16th. The prosecution just ended this week. So they went from April 16th all the way until the second to the last week in June with their case. Now,
was
granted,
it 28 days for just the prosecution? I think it was
now,
about 28 days.
Yeah, something like that. Now, granted, they had a lot of
Days
downtime and a lot of days off in between, but still, there was a ton of witnesses. And if you were watching the case, I swear to God, you would think that these were the defense's witnesses, because they did not bring one witness up that did not help the defense. Every single one of them was, they were catching these people in lies. They were backtracking. Nothing was adding up. And so they finally rested, and the defense started putting on their case on Thursday. So they've called several witnesses who have been slam dunk, have refuted pretty much anything the prosecution even tried to get across. They had the favorite witness so far has been Lucky, who is a plow driver. He drove
Love me some Lucky.
his plow truck, Frankentruck. And he was just like, he's just like your goofy, normal, blue collar, works for the roads department. And the prosecution is going after this guy, and you could tell it wasn't going well. And when you get a blue collar guy, you should know enough not to start asking him technical questions about blue collar stuff. And this, for some reason, this prosecutor thought he was going to catch him in this big gotcha moment, and every turn, Lucky's just like, no, you're wrong. It just, it was, if you watched it, it was unbelievable.
It was like he was trying to bait him to say something.
Yeah.
It was insane. And shout out to Auntie Bev. Auntie Bev, the judge. I love this woman. This poor woman, she just keeps telling these lawyers, stop doing what you're doing,
right.
And they just keep doing it. It's like, yeah, Aunt Fran Gold would not be having that stuff.
No, absolutely not. So they've called a few witnesses. They should be wrapping up either Monday or Tuesday of this week. So we should have a verdict on this by, I'm thinking by Wednesday or Thursday we should have a verdict on it. I don't think they only have a couple more witnesses to call. Actually, when the prosecution was done, they did ask for just, okay, Annie Bev, just call her innocent and let's go home. But she's like, no, you need to put on your case. So they're putting on their case. And the other interesting thing is, if you've been watching it, when the prosecution is going through their witnesses, they are taking forever and asking the same questions over and over and over again, and like just meandering all over the place. The defense gets up there, is like boom, 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 out of here, done, bring on the next one. So the jury is just totally bored and lost and not paying attention when the prosecution's up there. But yet when the defense is up there, because they're so quick and they're so concise, the jury's actually paying attention. I don't know how this woman will ever be convicted. We won't know until the jury comes back. But I'm sorry. I don't. If I was in the jury, I would be back there for 1 second and she's not guilty.
This case is a forensic science nightmare. They collected blood in red Solo cups. They claim that a tail light caused what I can only assume are dog bites. All right, I've been doing animal rescue for 20 years. I have broken up dog fights. I have seen people bitten by dogs. I have been bitten by dogs. And let me tell you, no tail light caused these injuries on a guy outside in a blizzard with a parka. I mean, all you have to do is look at these injuries and know that they're dog bites. It's crazy. And then they didn't follow the chain of custody for the.
There were so many holes. Oh my God.
Then they're questioning. So they get this woman on the stand who is an expert in wounds, and especially animal wounds. So they keep asking her. So what they're doing is they're basically. I'm looking at this from the forensic standpoint. He hasn't been. They're basically talking about odontology, forensic odontology. So forensic odontology is the study of bite marks, okay? And it was one of the main things that convicted Bundy. But if Bundy went to court today, it would never hold up in court. But what the woman was trying to tell this idiot prosecutor is that I know that the injuries were caused by a dog, but I don't know what dog. And that, if you study forensics, is the difference between individual and class evidence. So you can tell a bite from a dog, but you don't know which dog. That would be the individual. But the class evidence is saying these are scratches and bites from an animal. Also, the pet in the house was a German Shepherd who they gave away or got rid of. I don't know what they did, if they euthanized it or whatever.
Yep.
And then they totally refinished the basement where it supposedly went down where John O'Keefe passed away, and then sold the house for below market value. So people got angry with me in the comment section that that's not evidence. I'm sorry, that's circumstantial evidence right there. We convict people on circumstantial evidence.
Well, I mean, this was bungled from the very second by law enforcement. They never interviewed the homeowner,
Right,
who was a cop.
yes.
They never went in the house of the homeowner, who was a cop. They never interviewed, like they never
Impounded
did that.
the dog.
They never did any, so, and then they went back hours and hours later looking for evidence. So the crime scene was there basically from 6:30 a.m. to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was totally unsecure. Then there is all sorts of gaps in the evidence, specifically when the
Edgar, Jocelyn, welcome, hello. I just wanted to say hi.
Yeah, that was like an hour ago.
Oh, okay.
They towed this car to the police, wherever they towed it to, and there is video of it going in, and then there's video of the car, and then there's the cops standing behind the car where the taillight was supposedly cracked, but it doesn't look like it's cracked, and then the video stops, and then it picks up about 10 minutes later, and oh my goodness, there's the cracked taillight. There's just so much shady crap going on with this. I don't know how she could possibly.
The worst part of this is the cringy text messages. So they make people read their own cringe text messages. One was an ATF. I love ATF. I think I'm obsessed with ATF. I think they are the badasses of the badasses. Well, let me tell you, this trial is ruining ATF for me. Because this guy was flirting with Karen Reed. He was a complete idiot. Then who was the guy? Oh my God. Then we had to learn about Karen Reed's anal leakage. I mean, like, I don't know how these people read these messages.
No.
This guy, like, was looking for nudes in her phone. The lead
investigator
right?
was looking for nudes, and he's
saying
like, and he's
she's
texting
a
his
babe.
friend. I haven't found any of them yet.
So it's been a 3-ring circus.
Oh.
And I feel bad for it breaks my heart for John McCabe, because John O'Keefe, I'm sorry. I'm looking at McCabe.
Yeah,
up
not
there.
Jen McCabe. Yeah.
Jen McCabe, no, John O'Keefe.
Yeah.
I mean, his brother, right? He lost his brother and his sister-in-law. He's raising their children. Now he's gone.
Right.
It's just so sad, and I think it was a big cover-up that,
Yeah, so do I.
If Karen Reed doesn't walk, this might be one of the biggest miscarriages of justice I have ever seen, because they have not proven this case beyond a reasonable doubt, in my opinion.
No, not even a little bit. And the sad part is because the investigation was so sloppy in the very beginning,
Right.
when she gets acquitted, and I'm going to say yes, she's going to get acquitted. When she gets acquitted, they have no evidence to go back to try to piece this case together to figure out exactly what happened. There's nothing there. They've lost everything. So I don't know. I don't think this is ever going to be solved.
Okay, so let's make some predictions. Karen Reed walks.
Karen Reed walks.
Okay. I believe Wayne Williams is going to get the death penalty. That's
Yes.
my prediction there. I believe Christopher Greger is going to get 25 to life with parole, sadly. I believe that's what's going to happen. I think his defense lawyer did a really good job when that happens. Oh, and one other thing, too, that's coming up is the Rust trial for Alec Baldwin now. That's coming up, I believe, July 9th. And it's been ruled that, hey, Curtis, glad you're back, too. So it's been a minute. We missed you. And now I forgot what I was saying because I said hi to Curtis.
Rust.
Oh, the Rust armor. So now it's going to be Alec Baldwin on trial. And he was trying to get Hannah to testify for him. And Hannah said to Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
And now it's ruled that she does not have to, she will not have immunity, so she doesn't have to testify. She can plead the fifth in her own defense. I think Alec's running scared. I don't know about him and Hilaria's new reality show.
Yeah,
they might be filming him from prison.
In prison, yeah.
And it's the same judge, and she is not messing around. This woman is no nonsense.
Not at all.
but she's fair.
Very. She was
Yeah.
good, yeah.
And another thing too is the Judge Ryan in the treadmill abuse trial. He took a lot of heat from the comments and stuff. And what I read about him was that because he was very, very, very fair to the defense. And what they were saying was, I guess that guy that was representing Christopher Greger has a history of getting things overturned. So I guess the judge was really trying to, give them a lot of leeway, give the
Right.
defense a lot of leeway, so
So
that there
there's
was
no-
no right. Unlike Fran Gall, who was trying to not give them any leeway whatsoever, so
And
that
pretty much guaranteeing an appeal.
and guaranteeing an appeal. And I really don't think it's going in October deal.
I don't either, no.
The good news is I'll probably be retired by the time Delphi goes to trial, and definitely by the time Koberger goes to trial, and I'll be able to attend both trials,
Yeah,
probably the
hopefully
whole
we're
thing.
still mobile enough by the time Koberger goes to trial.
So this week, we're gonna do probably a verdict watch for Karen Reed,
Yeah.
right? Because that'll be interesting. And like I said, we're gonna do a deep dive into LISK, right? And we're coming back with more Nicole Kessinger, our favorite 304.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna preview our new format,
Our
right?
new
Later in
format,
the week.
yeah, later in the week.
Later in the week. So we are so happy to be back.
Yes.
Any comments? Absolutely, Curtis. If I lived in Canton, Massachusetts, and I was a taxpayer, I would be so angry with the town, with the Commonwealth. If that courtroom wasn't so small, we would definitely be heading
Yeah,
out.
absolutely.
We'd be heading there, right? But we'd probably just be in the fray with Turtle Boy and all
Yeah.
that. So.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't
It's
even
just a
believe it.
circus.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? Everybody pretty much thinks if the Court TV comments decided this case, Karen Reed's going to walk.
Yeah, except for the idiot the other day when I'm watching it, that, what's his name? Vinny, what's his
Vinny Politan?
Oh, what a moron that dude.
I like Vinny Politan from Court TV.
He's like trying to be all serious and trying to like spin this like they've proven their case and now the defense is on. Like, dude, what the hell are you watching? I don't know where he was coming from. I looked at him, I was like, dude, you're really on Court TV.
If you
Stop
don't
it.
believe in conspiracy theories and cover-ups and that, this case will make you believe in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I thought Delphi was a poop show. This is just insane.
Plus, not to mention the federal investigation that's going side by side with this.
Right.
Looking into this for a cover-up. So,
And what awful people.
oh, they
Like
they
Googling
really are.
how long it takes somebody to die in the snow, and all they did was drink and party and cheat on each other. And I mean, which, they're adults and they're consenting adults, and I don't judge because I'm not perfect, but still, like, what a bunch of, I wouldn't want to hang out with them, would you?
No.
Ugh. And and Karen Reed, I mean, she has the worst case of RBF I've ever seen in my life, but yet she'll smile and laugh and stuff too,
You can't help but laugh at some of this crap that they're putting out there.
Can you imagine being the lead investigator on a case and having to read your message that she had anal leakage on the stand? I just can't even imagine.
No.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't go down the rabbit hole. You don't
Yeah.
want to know. So that's what's going on there. And like I said, what are we going to upload? We'll have an upload within the week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have more details about LISK because I have actually how he got caught had to do with a victim that's not even attributed to him, but I'll go into more detail about that in the 20-minute 911 call she made. So it does look like an SL sketch. You're right. When you're like watching it, right? Those text messages.
And from one SNL was actually good.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, I would die. I would die if I had to read that stuff on the stand.
No.
I would be so mortified.
And then the ATF guy reading this stuff like, dude, you look so lame. Like, she wanted him, and it was just going over his head.
Dude had
He
no
clue.
game.
No game whatsoever.
Dude, you need, Ryan Anderson could teach him something about
Yes.
picking up chicks, for
Yes.
sure.
Absolutely.
So, I guess we're done, huh?
We are done, yes.
Well, thank you for everybody who joined us, especially thank you to Curtis. We love our returning subscribers. Thanks for
Absolutely.
coming back. And like I said, we're back. Tell 300 friends
Yeah.
so we can get to 1,000 subscribers.
Exactly.
And we will catch you on the flip side. We'll catch you for Karen Reed, for the
All
Karen
right.
Reed verdict. Free Karen Reed. Free Karen Reed.
Except
Free
as you pointed
Karen
out,
Reed.
she's not incarcerated, so
This
she
is
really
true.
doesn't need to be free. She already is free.
I'm free Karen Reed. I'm free Karen Reed. We are True Crime and Wine